I'm afraid there's no engine update yet. It's still ELB. They will do a good job, I know from work they've done in the past, but just got to wait for them to give me the okay. I did go over to Neyland to help John last Saturday. Nobody else was flying. Well, nobody was flying at all. The weather wasn't particularly good. And of course it means I've had to think carefully about this video. Then Charlie asked if I'd got any films of flying into Neyland. I know that he's contemplating it at some stage fairly soon. The answer is yes. I've got quite a few of features in lots of different bits and pieces, but with over 350 it's far too many really to trawl through. So I did put this together on the basis of cutting around about 4 others, and I'll link the entire videos in the description below, but see what you think. I did have another idea, and that is perhaps, and I don't know, I'd like your feedback on it, whether or not I should create a different playlist. I've got a playlist at the moment for every single year, but I was wondering whether or not it might be a good idea to put a playlist, for instance, Neyland information and maintenance and trips, so therefore it becomes themed rather than the week after week. But there again, the vlog out of necessity becomes a week after week. Anyway, I've spoken for too long. Let's start this video, and we're starting it with Terry's landing in Neyland. It was a very good video. Enjoy working with Terry, and yeah, see what you think.
That's the church there. Good view of the runway.
Man, that is steep.
I think it's just dawning on me.
I've seen Tim do this a lot, so no excuses.
That runway really does stand up. And you look like you're flying towards a wall.
Aim for the flat bit.
My name is Tim Palmer. I fly a Jodel DR1050 out of this farm strip in East Anglia. I'd like to start this video off by showing you a clip that I've got of the Peton pole that's just moved into here, and I think for the first time it actually shows just how steep the slope is. In that last video that I made, I did say that a number of people do refer to us as the Courchevel of East Anglia, and I know there are a number of people who don't necessarily believe in that, but it is a pretty steep slope. It doesn't really matter which way the wind blows, it always presents challenge one way or another, because we are, out of necessity, a one way in and one way out sort of slope. Taking off downhill. And landing uphill, that is, regardless of wind direction. We've got a southerly wind that's really nice for takeoff. It means that we climb out. The wind noise got too much, but what I was trying to say was, if we take off into wind, then it helps our climb out, whereas if we're taking off with the wind behind us, obviously we're not quite so efficient, and it tends to mean that we fly down the hill. It goes without saying that when we come into land, if we're landing into a headwind, it means that it's much more comfortable and we can land on the slope, whereas if we're landing with a tailwind, it tends to push us much further up. I approach at 60, but with a tailwind of 15, then that means that I do tend to run right to the top of the hill.
As I say, bit of a fast one.
The yawn, not because I was tired, but I think I just needed some extra oxygen. I'm not sure how much I breathed in that last little bit. I don't think you've ever seen me do that before, not go straight over the top of the hill. But as I turned, I must admit I was thinking, I wonder what that's going to look like on video. Anything from the west curls over the trees, over the hedge, over this slope and down. You're never 100% sure what's going to happen in that eddy current curl over down the bottom. And the same is true of an easterly, which comes from that direction and flows in across the A westerly will come in this direction, and on occasions, because of the top of the hill, you then get a curl over, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes that will tend to drop you as you're on the lower part of the slope. You will notice that that's actually steeper than from the eastern side. So this is from the eastern side. You too get a different curl over, but it tends to behave in a slightly different way. But whether it's from the west or whether it's from the east, you can never be 100% sure what's going to happen in the centre there. And it's usually just about at the touchdown point. This was a takeoff with a fairly strong tailwind.
You happy? Yep. Okay. I was expecting to go down, but maybe
not that
maybe
down.
not quite that down.
Oh. I did wonder if we were going for the high road.
Yeah.
Don't forget to put that in.
Yeah.
John says, "Thou shalt not move by road."
Yeah.
The dealings of John.
Yeah. You happy?
Yep.
Okay. I was expecting to go down, but maybe
not that
maybe
down.
not quite that down.
Ah.
Most of you will have seen the Neyland approach if you've followed the channel for any length of time. But we turn final over a building site. Well, it used to be the greenhouses and will in the future be a new estate. Once established, the site picture can be rather daunting.
So this is a strange approach for me.
Yes.
Normally I wouldn't be aiming at a hill.
One of the problems has been the height of the trees, which tends to keep you high and makes it difficult for some of the faster machines. If you look at Martin landing his Jodel, you'll see what I mean. He's fairly close to the top of the trees as he comes over the hedge, but it's still enough to mean that it's quite a long way up the hill before he touches down. Not a problem on a still day or with a headwind, but very, very different if we're having to land in a very strong tailwind, which we seem to be doing quite often these days. This is John landing in his Vans RV4. I know it was taken some time ago, but compare the trees and the hedge back to this photograph of me landing our old Nord, and look at the difference. I can't really see because I've got a reflection on the screen of the camera, and I've only got my phone with me, but I've come over in order to help Bill cut down the top of the trees. We've been complaining for some time about the fact that these trees have started growing like mad, so what we're here to do is see whether or not we can take them down a little bit. So this is what it's looking like from the lane. As you can see, they're quite hefty little bits and pieces. Well, starting from the lane there, you can see there is no more top to that. Looking at the bits and pieces that were cut off, it was about between 3 or 4 meters came off there, and then there was that taken off. So we have from the holly tree, from the holly tree through all the way back there is now clear. So now we've got an after. We had a sort of before, but we've now got an after. As you can see, that fence or that hedge has gone way down, which will make life so much easier.
Neyland traffic, Golf Alpha Yankee Echo Hotel is rolling Neyland traffic. Lined up with the trees. A bounce or two. And we're in the air. And oh, going up quite nicely. What I'm going to do for this one is I am just going to fly one circuit. Life's been fairly hectic this week, one thing and another, and it's going to be very hectic over this Easter weekend, so I know I'm not going to get much of a chance to do an edit, but what I would like to do is I'd like to show that we are in the air, which is really good. So with the cameras set up, I want to just fly a quick circuit just to see what the trees are like now we've cut them back down. So I want to climb out. It's a left turn around the village. This I always refer to as Windy Ridge. It's not Windy Ridge anymore, but it's a private school. So we come this side of the village. Don't quite go as far as Stoke-by-Neyland, which is there. I know I did this fairly recently with Adam, but it is slightly different because, as I say, we've taken those trees down. So just before we get to Stoke-by-Nayland Golf Course, which is coming up on the nose now. I'm putting in a left-hand turn. I'm at 1,000 feet above the top of the airfield. On the nose, or slightly to the right of the nose, you've got those two lakes. So that's what we tend to use as a marker. Coming over the top of the airfield. And John's passing in front of me, but he knows what I'm doing. Okay, so we're coming up to those two reservoirs. I've got the other two to my left-hand side. So I'll start a downwind leg now. Now I've got to try and get this one slightly different because I tend to always fly high.
Traffic 1.2 kilometers,
1,000
1,000 feet below.
feet below? Oh, it's a glider, I got it. It's not now, it's my height now. In the time it took me to see it, it went from ground level to
Traffic 2.3 kilometers, level.
1,000 foot. So we come over this equestrian centre. We're aiming for those two other reservoirs.
Traffic 5.3 kilometers, 1,200 feet.
Now this is what we were talking about. I'm going to turn you down just for a while because I know you're talking about the gliders, okay? And I am away from the gliders. So we are actually landing this with quite a strong tailwind. So we'll see what happens. When I say building site, it will be quite an estate, but at the moment they've only really got, they've got two largish houses and I don't know, a block of cottages. Nayland traffic, Golf Alpha Yankee Echo Hotel, turning fine and Nayland traffic. Right. That means I'm not going to get as low as I would like, but this is an approach that I don't usually make because you'll see that I am now quite angled by comparison to in the past. The idea being that I can go in over the top of the trees that we cut down. Just a little bit bumpy. A view of a tree that I don't normally see.
But the airfield's clear. Looks pretty good. So we're just sort of like going to fly the overhead. There's the two lakes. There's the other two lakes. So Tim gave me all that information. There's the other two lakes. So good visual on those. Circuit's clear. Descending down now. Oh, that does look steep. Okay. And there's the tower over there, so see that? Runway, wind is pretty much straight down the runway. It actually doesn't look, it's quite strong, but... Neyland traffic, Golf November Juliet Charlie Zulu, Sport Cruiser overhead for a left-hand circuit. Runway 32, Neyland. So we'll put that away now.
The tower I refer to is like a big mast.
So let's avoid these houses. So there's the two lakes.
That's just literally, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles to the north of the field.
Okay, let's get set up early. Brakes are off. Still leave that out. Brakes are off, undercarriages down fixed, mixtures, ridge, don't need it. Fuel pumps on, fuel sufficient for go around. Oh, there ain't no go around. Yeah. Fuel pumps on, fuel sufficient for go around. Oh, there ain't no go around. Yeah.
So trying to follow the circuit around on not just the Sky Demon, but following Tim's advice about the lakes. And they
Nothing around. And Golf Charlie Zulu, Sport Cruiser, Neyland traffic, Golf Charlie Zulu, Sport Cruiser, late downwind, 32 Neyland.
And with the lakes being the turning points for the circuit.
I think that's the church there. A good view of the runway. Man, that is steep.
I think it's just dawning on me.
That can come in, fuel pumps on. So aim for the flat bit, fly up the hill.
And that's the plan.
I've seen Tim do this a lot, so no excuses.
So turning final.
Neyland traffic, Golf Charlie Zulu, Sport Cruiser final, 32 Neyland.
That runway really does stand up. And you look like you're flying towards a wall.
Aim for the flat bit.
I think my approach is probably a bit too flat here and probably too low because I do get very close to the trees. I should have gone through that gap that Tim uses. See what I mean? Really close to the trees. And breathe.
That wasn't too bad. I think that wind really helped me.
Fuel pressure low.
There you go again. So that's a landing at Neyland. Hope you enjoyed that. Slow's gonna stop. You landed about 10 foot.
Yeah.